Good evening, gentlemen. We've got a great night in store for you. I see a lot of new faces out there, as well as some familiar ones, so I'm not gonna yammer on too long. I want you all to sit back, enjoy the service, the scenery, but most of all, enjoy the show.
Who I am, that's the question. That's why I came to cognitive therapy with my thought of my lost identity and ask for the help. If it doesn't work, just let it go. And I start really feel like if I'm trying and I cannot connect here, I'm gonna try something else.
Today, the time of static and unchangeable categories is past. Don't know where you exactly go. You know, what you are trying to say. Say again, try again.
My life is ruined. Ruined. I feel like I lost my meaning of my life. I don't understand why I'm here even.
It's not my fault, I find out.
I just like wake up. Here.
You always act like that when you want to something covered.
I cannot remember.
Not my fault!
Oh my God, look at the mirror. It's like
why are you doing this to me? Is it just me? Or is it getting crazy out there?
This show can address the stigma surrounding the use of psychedelics and help shape our story into a new narrative that is authentic.
Hello?
Hello.
Who is this?
You tell me your name, I'll tell you mine.
I don't think so.
In the modern era, psychedelics has been vilified as a dangerous.
Most drugs are meant for medical use. You must decide use or abuse.
This is not just my story. It reflects our collective struggle. We all carry the shadows within us, but through the connection and the vulnerability, we can become a heal.
Question of education, to teach people to be on their guard against the sort of verbal booby traps into which they're always being led, to analyze the kind of things that are said to them. I think it's terribly important to insist on individual values, that every human being is unique, and it is, of course, on this genetical basis that the whole idea of the value of freedom is based.
My name is Tom, and I'm standing here today as I'm ready to confront the shadows that haunted me. I am not just a survivor of addiction, I am the advocate for the change. Take a trip and let the darkness inside you embrace. Together, we can reshape the stigma and the potential healing of the psychedelics. By sharing my own experiences and the struggle with addiction, I hope to create a space for reflection and vulnerability.
Will never be the same, because once you've looked beyond the veil, you realize that there is a veil. and that changes your worldview forever.
I hesitate questioning that I was seeking another high, but curiosity nudged me, urging me to find a clarity amidst the chaos. I began to explore these substances with the intentions not as escape, but as a meaning of my pain. I attend the ceremonies and surrounded myself with others that understand the complexity of the human psyche.
Scared. It was obvious that the more powerful LSD swept you far beyond the tender wisdom of mushrooms or cacti.
If sanity implies madness, and faith implies doubt, am I basically a psychotic pretending to be sane?
When you step through the doors that psychedelics offer, you are going to be required to draw on every resource that you have as a human being. And amongst those resources, most prominently is courage. You must overcome your fear.
Under proper psychedelic guidance, I'm saying healing is actually possible.
I just hope my death makes more sense than my life.
I had some MDMA with some of my absolute best friends in the world. We got back to our place we were staying, which is on the top of the hill, as the sun was coming up, and we'd had some mushrooms by this point as well. We had music playing. It was just all, the most extraordinary spectrum of colours, and I was only just starting to feel the mushrooms.
That most people aren't prepared to face God. And no matter how religious you think you are, if someone says, come on, would you really like to look right in the eye of God and see where man is and where history is and how trivial and ridiculous and small human nature is? Most people don't want to face this.
Dr. Leary is one of the reasons why she thought that there was nothing wrong with LSD and believed what he said when he said it was God's gift to young people. I had hoped he would die. I had hoped he would be hung. Then I had hoped he'd stay in prison for life. And now I'm glad he's out as a pitiful example of an aging hippie.
When you identify as a counterculture, you're sort of sending up a signal that the culture is going to be scared of it.
Very dangerous, very dangerous drug.
Everyone has a choice. And every choice has a consequence.
A hand in the darkness, there's hope.
We didn't defeat the Dark One. We set him free. No one should have that much power. The last battle's coming.
The whole world will be ours.
If our friends are in trouble, why would they ever stay here? You have no conception of the power they wield.
You can't do this by yourself.
It's not always the most powerful who write history. It's the ones who survive.
I'm tired of being a spoke in the wheel.
I change on a cellular level in my body. You know, the tears changed, something changed from pain to love.
It is cruel irony that in this world full of the people, I feel so utterly alone. And of course, we gonna have a lot of fun. So, you ready?
It's interesting to see like how I see myself, like
See? You put the things that do the killing between your teeth. But you never give it the power to do the killing.
always when I write this poem, there's a reason why I feel I don't know where to start. But it's done. Shaking on. I was like, oh my god, something must be really wrong with me. I don't have to be perfect, really. I want something nice. There was a plan. And I try. I really try because I love you.
But let's be honest, it is not it without it cost. The thrill can lead to obsession. And obsession can turn to destruction.
Going back and doing it, I just got to like
doing, even when we know we probably shouldn't. One extraordinarily powerful chemical, dopamine. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter, a chemical certain brain cells use. Each of these experiences causes a dopamine spike, building positive associations and shaping our habits and desires.
Yeah, but I don't wanna spend the night acting out about the way you lie. But the shit just went awry. Me in the eye, bit me in the thigh, then begin to cry. I'm at the end of my wits, let's in this my. So does it come from the floor?
But it fucks me so good and I can't get enough. Must be love on the brain. It keeps cursing my name. No matter what I do, I'm no good without you and I can't get enough. Must be love on the brain.
Come outside now. I'm a student. I'm a drug dealer. When you're a student, everyone's on drugs around you. And it's easy to sort of capitalise off that market. Everyone wants to experiment with drugs when they come to uni.
You must ask yourself how far you are willing to go for that understanding. Consider for the moment life of those who cross that line. They are most of them often haunted by their own choices. And they are left ruined.
close your eyes and picture the shadow that is haunting you. What a fear is gripping your heart. Hold on this picture, because we are going to embark this journey through the addiction and the psychedelics.
Time stands still, beauty in all she is. I will be brave, I will not let anything take away. Standing in front of me, every breath, every hour has come to this. One step closer.
I leave the church and find myself at a corner gas station on a hot afternoon. Dust and exhaust fumes, the billboards half-heartedly gaudy. I find the flatness so reassuring. Nothing around here but just us, folks. It's hard work for people to constantly deny what they are, to pretend that they're not the avatars of divine beings, Brahman, Atman, and Shiva, that the cells of their bodies aren't millions of gods, that the dust isn't a haze of jewels.
As the late 1960s swept the planet, more and more humans began to awaken to the possibility of a greater reality. And the shades were opened on the occult secrets held in the libraries, and new messages began filling the shelves.
With my own experience,
are we rolling? What the hell is going on?
Should all drugs stay illegal for personal use?
No, the exact opposite. In fact, all drugs should be legalized and regulated. Please never separate those words.
When I did psychedelics, I think it's not so much the drug, but it's what the drug shows you. It shows you that you're telling yourself things that aren't true. And you could tell yourself something else.
Is that a beautiful experience, would you say? I would say yes.
There are no good or bad drugs. There are just good or bad policies.
I believe, this will be through the time beneficial, and maybe one day I will be sitting there again, oh my god, Thomas, what are you fucking talking about? But it's good to know, good to say, because then you can let it go.
Today we're exploring a story that challenges everything we think we know about grief, redemption, and the unconventional paths to healing.
You know what fascinates me most about this narrative? The way it begins in Prague's romantic streets before spiraling into something much darker.
The contrast is striking. Here's Tomas, deeply in love, sharing this magical connection with his partner, and then comes this pivotal moment involving GHB-laced soup that changes everything.
And the tragic irony is that Tomas had no idea about the drug, right? He just disappeared while his partner searched desperately for him.
Well, that's what makes this story so compelling, how one decision, made without full awareness, can set off this devastating chain of events. And what Tomas did next really shows the depth of his guilt.
Maybe you were right. Every weekend a new festival, every night a new adventure. Let me show you my Prague, my love. He owned the room. Half of Prague's underground scene was his playground. And I was just his newest fascination. We'd dance until dawn in his clubs. Him, the king of Prague's nightlife. Me climbing the corporate ladder at the pharmaceutical company. The beautiful irony of that now. The soup. Something was wrong. The room, it's spinning, hands everywhere, touching, and there you were, Alex, Just watching, always watching. Your perfect experiment. You belong to me. You'll always belong to me.
I've always given you everything you needed. I've taken care of you, made you special, made you mine. And now you want to leave because of a minor setback, a slight mistake. You're ungrateful, my love. You're a weak, pathetic excuse for a man. You need me, just as much as I need you. You can't survive without me. Who will take care of you when I'm gone? Who will give you purpose, direction? I have all the power in this relationship.
But these words, they wake something. Bruises were still fresh, the memory even fresher. My perfect experiment gone wrong. One ticket to Bristol, one way, one chance to survive. Bristol, England, a place I couldn't even pronounce. The scariest part wasn't leaving. It was not knowing who I'd be when I landed. You know what's strange about rock bottom? How quiet it is, how clear. Leaving Prague behind, leaving the guilt, the darkness. But the questions, they follow you anywhere.
Thinking geographical distance could somehow ease the emotional pain. But you know what's fascinating? The way he eventually found healing through quantum physics, of all things.
That's such an unexpected turn, using scientific concepts to make sense of emotional trauma. How did that even work?
Well, he started connecting ideas about frequencies and vibrations to emotional states, almost creating this bridge between the rational and emotional. And then there's the controversial aspect, using psychedelics as part of his healing journey.
The way he stood up against stigma is remarkable, even filing formal complaints against those spreading misinformation about HIV.
You know what really strikes me? The transformation from someone hiding behind masks to becoming this advocate for unconventional healing methods. It's like he turned his shame into a source of power.
And through it all, he maintained his love for his partner while choosing to live and heal. That's such a nuanced understanding of grief.
Speaking of which, the work with Brigstow really shows how finding the right community can be transformative. It's like he created this new kind of family through shared experience and understanding.
That idea of chosen family comes through so strongly, how sometimes the people who truly get us aren't necessarily blood relatives.
It's almost like he found a way to scientifically validate his emotional journey.
Well, that intersection of science and emotional healing is fascinating, using quantum physics to understand human connection and consciousness.
You know what this story really challenges? Our assumptions about what healing should look like. Sometimes what appears self-destructive might actually be part of someone's path toward wholeness.
That's such an important point about the messiness of healing, how it rarely follows a straight line or a predictable pattern.
Looking at the bigger picture, this story shows us that transformation is possible, even from the darkest places. but it requires both individual courage and community support, this delicate balance between personal responsibility and collective care.
And perhaps that's the most hopeful message, that no matter how lost we feel, there's always a possibility for redemption if we're brave enough to face our shadows and reach out for help.
You wanna feel someone who's gonna be, just, cuddle you sometimes, just say I like you like a person, because you miss so much cuddles. And it's okay to say, it's okay even cry for that, so.
Imagine discovering that your partner secretly drugged your food. It sounds unthinkable, but that's exactly where this powerful story of addiction, loss, and redemption begins. It takes place in Prague, where this man Tomas discovers GHB, a party drug, in his soup. The betrayal leads to this massive argument with his partner David, who treats it like some kind of joke, completely dismissing Tomas's feelings.
You know, that kind of breach of trust must have been devastating. How did things escalate from there?
In the worst way possible, Tomas storms out, turns off his phone, and while he's gone, David goes searching for him in this forest, where they used to dream about their future. That's where David dies alone, searching for someone who didn't want to be found.
That's absolutely heartbreaking. How does someone even begin to process that kind of guilt?
Through self-destruction initially. He moves to the UK, barely speaking English, and starts engaging in increasingly dangerous behavior, like he's trying to punish himself for David's death.
The combination of grief, guilt, and being in a foreign country, that's a perfect storm for addiction, isn't it?
Exactly, and what's fascinating is how the story shows the failures of traditional addiction treatment. When he finally seeks help, he encounters judgment instead of understanding. The addiction center becomes just another place where he feels isolated and misunderstood.
So what finally helps him turn things around?
Surprisingly, it's education and alternative healing methods. He starts studying, discovers psychedelics as a therapeutic tool, and finds this community of people who approach healing differently. The transformation is remarkable, from someone seeking self-destruction to someone seeking self-discovery.
That's such an interesting shift from using substances to escape to using them mindfully for healing.
And what makes it even more powerful is how he starts processing his grief in healthy ways. He writes letters to David, confronts his guilt, and slowly rebuilds his sense of self. The journey shows how healing often comes from unexpected places.
It really challenges our assumptions about recovery, doesn't it? The path isn't always through traditional methods.
That's right. And what's particularly striking is how the story emphasizes the role of community in healing. It wasn't just about overcoming addiction. It was about finding connection, purpose, and a new way to carry his past without being crushed by it.
You know, that's such an important message about how recovery isn't just about stopping substance use, it's about rebuilding a whole life.
Exactly, and I think that's why this story resonates so deeply. It shows how healing isn't linear. Sometimes you have to go through the darkest places to find your way back to light. But it also shows that no matter how lost someone feels, there's always a path back to connection.
That kind of honest portrayal really helps break down the stigma around addiction and mental health, doesn't it?
Well, that's precisely what makes it so powerful. It doesn't offer easy answers or judge the journey. Instead, it shows how recovery often involves this complex mix of traditional and alternative approaches, personal growth, and community support. It's a reminder that healing looks different for everyone.
The exhilaration of the stepping into the darkness and confronting the monster inside you.
And what I learned could be summed up really very briefly by saying that addiction is not a choice that anybody makes, it's not a moral failure, it's not an ethical lapse, it's not a weakness of character, it's not a failure of will, which is how society depicts addiction, nor is it an inherited brain disease, which is how the medical tendency is to see it, but it actually is a response to human suffering.
One pill makes you larger and one pill makes you small, and the ones that mother gives you don't do anything at all. Go
palace when she's 10 feet tall.
But stay with yourself and with the feelings of the gap. Maybe there'll be something telling you about this. And you still feel that. You're doing like your diary and, meditation, and there's something going on, and you start and enjoy that. And then boom, again, going to the old habits.
Our society is absolutely designed to shut down 90% of the potential of the human creature. Why should it be the case that society is afraid of realizing human potential? What it comes down to is special interests. That there are those who run things in society, and that there are those who are there to kind of serve them and serve their ends and serve their needs. And so what our society has created is a realm of unquestioning meat robots who will perform their daily tasks without complaining and without causing any trouble. And that may be very useful to certain small interest groups, but it's extremely damaging to the rest of humanity. Once we realize our potential, we don't need elites anymore. Who needs elites? Who needs to be led? This is another revelation that comes from working with psychedelics, is we do not need leaders. They are not over us, telling us what to do. They may imagine that that's what they're doing, but they have no right to do that. And the moment we begin to wake up and start asking really profound questions about the nature of reality and about the society we live in, their power is instantly diminished. And I think that's why we've seen such vigor and real nasty unpleasantness put into this horrible, wicked thing called the war on drugs, which has been used as an excuse to enter the inner sanctum of people's lives. See, if I'm not sovereign over my own consciousness, if I can't make free choices about my own consciousness, if I can't make those free choices while doing no harm to others, then I am not free in any useful or meaningful sense. And the moment that I free myself, then I become a danger to those who run things in the world. Anybody who has been led to question the nature of things profoundly as a result of psychedelics is a danger to the status quo. We risk being thrown in prison, we risk having our reputations destroyed if the powers that be enter our home and find that we're using psychedelics. I mean, this is really an Orwellian world that we've created. How dare some guy in a suit sitting in government tell me what to do with my consciousness, while at the same time they're allowing, the glorification and glamorization of alcohol, which is one of the most dangerous drugs on the planet. Alcohol is a seriously dangerous drug, whether you're talking about cirrhosis of the liver, or whether you're talking about traffic accidents, or whether you're talking about violence. Alcohol, there's no doubt about it. Nobody can dispute it. It's an extremely dangerous drug. So a society that says alcohol's okay, and you can even advertise it, but psilocybin or DMT are not okay, and if you use them, you'll be sent to prison. That society is just riddled through and through with unbelievable hypocrisy. And we have to bring that out. We have to show people this is the case, because what's going on here is a fundamental abuse of human rights. We must be free to make decisions over our own consciousness, always with the proviso that we do no harm to others. And any government, any state agency that attempts to limit our freedom over our own consciousness is itself an agency of darkness and control. wonders of these medicines, of DMT, is that they reconnect us to spirit. And if there is anything that is desperately needed in modern industrial technological society, it is a reconnection to spirit. That's what's missing. That absence of spirit is why there is so much pain in the world today, and why people are willing to inflict so much suffering on one another. Once we reconnect with spirit, we realize that we are an intrinsic part of the human family. What the psychedelics are showing us is that we are all members of one family of consciousness, and that they strip away all the trivial shit like the color of our skin or the country in which we are born or the legal system under which we grew up. They strip that away and they bare the soul, because my God, it is a mystery to be alive at all, to have experiences, to have our senses, to fall in love, to be engaged in the world. All of that, if you think about it, I mean, where did we come from? We were born in these bodies, we grow up in a family, we go out there in the world, we take it all for granted, but it's a giant mystery from beginning to end. These psychedelics are agents of liberation. I'm not saying they're all perfect and wonderful and good things, but are they agents of liberation that lead us to ask questions that we would never have asked before? Yes, absolutely. And do they lead us to want to be better human beings? Yes, absolutely. And do they lead us to see the faults and the crack lines in our society which have been so carefully papered over? Yes, absolutely. And as a result, there has been a concerted effort to suppress this growth of freedom. But you know what? It's not going to work. That effort is failing. People are waking up all over the world. Not fast enough yet, not in large enough numbers, but it's happening. It's a small flame. It's growing, and it's going to continue to grow. And humanity will move forward in a positive course. I'm absolutely sure of that, and psychedelics have a great role to play in that journey.
Just a small improvement would be lovely. Just for him to see the world through a different pair of eyes.
I realized that set and setting had an almost dogmatic energy to it. You know, that was all there is, and set and setting is not enough. That we have to incorporate skillful use of these medicines to really achieve what we want to do with them. One of the communities that doesn't acknowledge this need for skill explicitly.
You know, with all this psychedelic insight that people are gaining, with all the mystical experiences, with all the skills that are being improved, and all these different things that come out of it, it's most important to remember that ecological awareness is probably first and foremost what the psychedelics are trying to impart on us.
I'm much more being than I've ever been.
just how it happened. I let down my guard. Swore I'd never fall in love again, but I fell hard. Guess I should have seen it coming. Caught me by surprise. Wasn't looking where I was going. I fell into your eyes. You came into my crazy world like a cool and cleansing rain. Before I knew what hit me, baby, you were flowing through my veins. I'm addicted to you. Get in my blood, lost in your eyes, drowning in blue, out of control. What can I do?
The position that modern societies have taken on psychedelics, we've demonized these substances, we've made them illegal, we've subjected people to harsh prison sentences if they're found in possession of psychedelics. This is a terrible error that is being made in modern Western society. We are losing contact with our fundamental roots.
In the modern era, psychedelics has been vilified as a dangerous recreation chemical.
This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
Yet, as a species, humans haven't always held this view.
The Eleusinian mysteries in ancient Greece clearly had a psychedelic sacrament. It was used in a beverage called the kykeon.
Delving in the past, we find psychedelics were revered as medicines delivered by the gods.
Studying the Hindu culture, in very many depictions, Shiva's holding a vessel that contains bhang, which is a cannabis-containing beverage that is flavored with spices.
Today, with an ever-increasing openness to explore, these substances will humanity not only rediscover the profound health benefit of psychedelics, but also realize the true nature of our reality as an ancient civilization claimed.
LSD and psilocybin both function like serotonin in the brain, binding directly to one type of serotonin receptor in particular.
What psychedelic means from its linguistic roots is mind manifesting. The idea that these are mind manifesting, that's consistent with this other notion that these are non-specific amplifiers. In other words, you could have a euphoric experience, you could have a hellish experience. There's some interacting reasons why the psychedelic renaissance is happening now. Our society has been in a mental health crisis, and it's been stagnating.
It wasn't until the mid-20th century that science got with the program. Early psychedelics research transformed neuroscience.
We began treating 5 patients for 26 days.
In clinical trials, psychedelics like LSD showed extraordinary potential.
It's an important drug in treatment of mental and emotional disorder.
These substances rose from obscurity to miraculous promise in a matter of years.
There were a lot of overstatements and urban legends about the dangers of psychedelics. The 1950s through early 70s, they gave a giant dose of LSD to someone and then locked them in a padded room. One of the trials, looking to see if LSD could help people with alcoholism, they literally tied people down in restraints to their hospital bed, gave them a massive dose of LSD, 800 micrograms, and they didn't give them any warning that, that they took this substance that would profoundly alter their conscious experience.
I'm not going to incriminate myself on the internet. I know better than that.
I can't tell you! All of a sudden, I couldn't stop smiling, and my heart started beating super fast. The room is spinning, and I'm convinced I'm gonna die. I was throwing up all night.
Go ahead.
Just let it melt on your tongue.
You always say I never take you anywhere.
Clearly, there's this very real biological effect. Something dramatic happens to the brain when you put the psychedelic in the system. But then someone has this experience, and when they change their life because of that, that ends up sounding more like they went through a really good course of psychotherapy. For example, MDMA will work by releasing serotonin, so that's a different mechanism. And you have other drugs such as ketamine and PCP. So that affects the glutamate system in the brain primarily rather than the serotonin system. So what does psychedelic mean then if it refers to multiple pharmacological classes of drugs that work in different ways? And the answer for me is that these are all drugs that can have a profound effect on one's sense of reality, including one's sense of self. At the psychological level, patients who have claims of insight, viewing themselves from a radically different perspective, from a different lens, there's a greater ability to establish a new and more optimal normal state.
So many Americans been under 25. There were over 90 million of them, nearly half the population. And many were disillusioned with the world around them.
Psychedelics from the Greek psyche, meaning mind, and delos, meaning make visible or reveal. They are substances that produce changes in a perception mood.
The Harvard psilocybin project, which conducted experiments based around psychedelic drugs, fueled by Leary's beliefs that drugs can distributing psychedelics throughout the country during the height of the hippie movement, making sure the late 60s ran equally on free love and peace and a crap ton of psychedelic drug.
Those gathered in the park that sunny January day sought a different world.
It would be a world where people live gently on the planet without the sense that they have to exploit nature or make war upon nature and find basic security. A simpler way of life, less urban, less consumption-oriented.
The development of the conventional treatments could take years. This had led some sufferers of mental illness with an aversion to synthetic pharmaceuticals to self-medicate with the psychedelics.
We can do in 2 days what conventional therapy would take years.
It's strange, I feel like the same person, but today I feel so much lighter.
Ayahuasca saved my life, honestly.
Once they drink that cup, there is no turning back.
Psilocybin to really wake me up from my anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts.
It's completely different than anything I've ever experienced. Deeper, more meaningful, more life-changing.
What ayahuasca can really do, they say it can be like 10 years worth of therapy in one night. Because when you're in therapy in the West, you're talking and you're engaging the intellect. But ayahuasca makes permeable your unconscious, it opens the heart more, and it becomes very visible. Anything you've been holding in your energetic field, anything emotionally or you've suppressed can come up, and it comes up in a way that you're not attached to it. So you can entertain it, and then you can let go of it.
His brave new world of psychedelic usage has a bright future, especially for those suffering with the affliction of PTSD, depression, addiction, and physical trauma. Modern application of psychedelic substances can also offer metaphysical and spiritual experiences that very well may be life-changing for the individual.
911, state for emergency.
We need an ambulance, please.
Fresno and broadcast for welfare check. Possibly 2 subjects overdose.
911, state for emergency.
I don't know what happened. My son's dead. I need somebody here now.
At the risk of sounding hyperbolic, let me say it this way. The biggest threat to health in Fresno County is no longer COVID. It's substance use.
Each person has their own story for how they got caught up in addiction.
good place, not at all. Everything is falling apart. I want it to stop, but I just can't. It's like I'm trapped. Like I can't ask for help. Like you won't think I am worth the time of day because I have a drug problem.
Introspective,
truthful,
spiritual,
eye-opening, novel, inspiring, colorful, fun,
emotional.
I was obviously reacting to, a very difficult childhood of illness that nearly killed me many times, difficult family circumstances, socially, economically, stressed out mother, absent father, and, drugs were a great comfort. So having another punisher, as it were, with the police, although, I'm sure that most of them don't even want to do it, but it is their job, what's the point?
When I did psychedelics, I think it's not so much the drug, but it's what the drug shows you. It shows you that you're telling yourself things that aren't true.
You have to decide there and then whether you're going to be a victim of that for the rest of your life or not.
It made me think, well, perhaps I'm not just a passenger on this merry-go-round.
Is that a beautiful experience, would you say?
I would say yes.
There are no good or bad drugs. There are just good or bad policies.
He was very eager for me to take LSD, but I resisted the idea. Everything I had heard about lysergic acid sounded ominous. The mushrooms and peyote I had been experimenting with had grown naturally in the ground and been used for thousands of years in wise Indian cultures. LSD, on the other hand, was a laboratory product that had quickly fallen into the hands of psychiatrists and security services. I was scared. It was obvious that the more powerful LSD swept you far beyond the tender wisdom of mushrooms or cacti.
We got the night, I got the bottle, you got the light. We got the stars, we got audio. We're gonna fly, we got an eye. You got the moon dust, I got the sky. We got the stars, we got audio. Make the bum bum beat, I'll give you melody. Make the bum bum beat, I'll give you melody. Make the song so sweet, you gon' come on with me. Make the bum bum beat, I'll give you melody. Make the bum bum beat, I'll give you melody. Make the song so sweet, you gon' come on with me.
We got the heart, we got the soul. Just when the world's saying they got no hope, here comes the love. We got audio. I'm flying high, superhero. S on my chest with my Marilyn Monroe. Feel like a star. We got audio.
Make the bum bum beat, I'll give you melody. Make the bum bum